Before I start the video, I have an irrelevant and superficial question. Who do you guys think is prettier, Kamala Harris or Tulsi Gabbard? It's just kind of a random question. Anyway, let's get started with this freak show.
The prophecy is true.
Trump failed in 2016. In my last video, I touched on a few things without going very deep, as there are too many things to list. In this video, I just want to state my frustration at the two candidates from which we have to choose in this upcoming election. We pretend we have a choice, but who chose Trump? Who chose Kamala? How did they get into their current position to be presidential candidates? Especially Kamala. Neither one of these people can relate to or represent the common person out there. How can people with money like these privileged politicians act like they can relate to people without money and people that are struggling? We know Trump has money, and Trump was bailed out by Wilbur Ross, for example. People have such short memories. Now Trump comes back after 4 years, and everybody has this newfound hope like Trump is really going to fix it this time. Then Kamala pops up, and the liberals of my generation are like, this is the best thing since Barry Soetoro. Barry could speak, though. Or Obama, if you don't know. Have you heard Kamala speak? Not very good. You know how people engage in a fight? They'll take a few key words and just repeat them because the brain freezes in that fight or flight moment. Kamala seems to do that a lot when she speaks.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
There are those who are unable to see what can be. But there are many more who are able to see what can be unburdened by what has been. Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles, right? And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams, so I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, you know, the three circles.
Kamala doesn't have the charisma or the speaking skills. Now all of a sudden she's a superstar because the libs are excited at the thought of a female president that's also melanated.
The thing is, the gaslighting is what bothers me.
Well, it all bothers me. It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. You know, that so everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay, you've got me started, Officer Harris. They've been doing this live for years.
I mean, there's always Tulsi Gabbard, and Tulsi doesn't try to copy Barry's soulful black voice the way that Kamala and Republican Vivek Ramaswamy do.
I always do my best Barack Obama impression.
So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And okay, look, maybe
I've done more podcasts probably than most presidential candidates in history combined, mostly because podcasts are new. I'll admit that. But I will tell you, that's a different setting. And so I think it's the book of Ecclesiastes that teaches, and my faith teaches me the same thing. There's a time and place for everything.
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay, and that eating shellfish is an abomination? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application? So before we get carried away, let's read our Bibles now. Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
There are a lot of shapeshifters in today's politics. I like the way Obama would switch back and forth between doing his soul voice and sounding like a non-melanated person from the South. Then sometimes he'd sound like a nerdy white guy, trying to please everybody at the same time. Vivek tapped into this tactic as well as Kamala. Vivek is kind of cringy. Kamala is less cringy for some reason. She does, however, make up for it by laughing too hard and for too long at things that aren't funny. I always found it strange and annoying when people would laugh after they would speak as if they thought they were so funny and interesting when the opposite was the case.
And, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
I've been thinking about a solution for the 2024 election, and I think I came up with an idea. And I think that we should try and get Joe Biden back in there for 2024. But what I think is that since Obama can shapeshift and throw his voice, I think Obama should learn a really good Joe Biden impression, and then he should put on one of those hyperflash masks that's shaped like Biden's face, like, a CIA special, and do the hands and neck as well.
Joe Biden has been missing in action for years. The signature on his memo announcing that he is dropping out of the 2024 election has been proven to be a forgery. And according to the artificial intelligence voice app 11 Labs, the recent alleged phone call from Biden was created using the app.
I know yesterday's news was surprising and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me.
Okay, let's just go on old 11 Labs and see if that's really all they probably used for this. So, upload. There we go. And let's see what we got. Yeah, looks like they didn't even really try.
By most accounts, there has been at least 3 fake Joe Bidens on camera since his election. We have seen images that show Joe Biden with different earlobes, which would be impossible if it were all the same person. We have seen videos that show what appears to be a rubber mask with a rubbery chin.
Virtually every
You can't tell me this is normal. Look at his forehead. This is bullshit. That's a mask. That's a skin mask. It ain't normal. Look at it.
In the early 90s, former head of disguise for the CIA wore a mask as she briefed George H.W. Bush in the White House about the latest disguise technology. She fooled him while sitting at his desk.
I was a little paranoid.
This is crazy.
I'd never worn one of these masks before in public, and you get nervous. Nobody paid any attention, of course, so I relaxed. We went in the Oval Office. So I showed him some photographs of disguises we had done for him when he was chief of disguise. We said, you might remember these. He did. I said, so I'm here to show you the next level. He said, so show me. I said, well, I'm wearing it. And I'll take it off and show it to you. And he said, no, don't take it off. And he got up. He came out. He walked and he looked. He went behind me. He was checking it out. He went back. He sat down. He said, take it off. So I just peeled off my face.
So I think it's a pretty good idea. This would give Obama his 4th term as president, and we could have a few extra Bidens on hand to fill in for him the way they have for the past 4 years already.
This 40-year technology was classified until a few years ago.
And this is the only photograph I ever got. So I'm sitting in front of the president's desk with my hand in the air, holding the mask, showing it to him, and they airbrushed it out. So the picture in my library, I don't know what you would think I'm doing, but people say that's...
They airbrushed the mask out.
Yeah, it was classified. They gave me the picture of me.
I mean, I've seen the picture, but you can't tell.
You're seeing the recent pictures because now we can talk about masks. A year ago, I could not tell you this story. It was still considered classified.
Why could you say it now?
Because they have allowed it now. Which to me, what does that mean? Sources and methods are classified. This evidently is no longer classified. Perhaps they're not using these anymore. Or maybe they've gotten so good that what I'm saying has nothing to do with the new ones. I think that's more like it.
While many are making a fuss about a missing U.S. president and wondering who's running the country, U.S. presidents have been missing for decades. All we've had in the White House for our entire lifetime is a puppet frontman for the military-industrial complex and the big bank bureaucrats who have turned America into incorporated. The forces running this country are still in charge. They are just looking for a new puppet to fool the masses into thinking America is the land of the free.
Let me ask you, how many times you guys made masks for presidents to distract the audience? Like, are there duplicates out there as well that we don't know about? Or we can't know the answer to that question? There's, I don't know.
Saddam had all these.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about? We have a picture of Saddam in a boat on the Bosphorus or something with his 26 doubles. They're all paddling. It's like 26 Saddams. Have you seen this picture?
I've seen it.
They all look exactly alike. It's brilliant.
So we've never done that you know about?
No, there's a long, great history of presidents doing that.
Okay.
But I don't know that we've ever done that.
I got it. Okay.
We are in a state of emergency right now. People are crazy.
Now, I like Joe Biden. I don't think we would have trouble getting along at all. I don't think he'd be abrasive or want to have his own way all the time or have any anger issues or anything like that at all. I think he's a really good, friendly guy. And I like him even before he was president because he really knew how to relate to children and adults alike.
No, I wish you were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I like kids better than people. I don't want you to have to stand all alone, but it's up to you. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him. Right? And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. How you doing, Eric? Vice President.
So that's Joe Biden in his element around the children and adults, mixing and mingling a little bit. So he's a good guy, good president, and despite what some people have said about him, he's a really good speaker and can give one heck of a speech.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. Putin's kleptocracy, yeah. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, we haven't been able to communicate it in a way that is, let me say another way. But the nature, not a solid meeting with America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put here's what drives the driver in the States.
that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers. All right. God save the Queen, man.
Heck yeah, Joe. You tell him. Strong speaker, good person, and also athletic. This is Joe right after he did like 20 push-ups for the spectators when he was riding a mountain bike. And in these clips, yeah, he did slip up a little bit, but it wasn't his fault, because actually it wasn't him. It was one of about 10 actors that have those hyperflesh masks to fill in for him when he's feeling under the weather or hanging out in the basement. What a truly weird world that we live in, and I fear that it's only going to get weirder from here. You guys take care, and I'll catch you on the next video.